Chakradhar joined right before. Okay, we will wait 2 minutes and we will start. Before that, you people are any doubts? Practice examples, all right? Implementation. You guys are any doubt? Okay. Aishwarya, for you, you are able to do the practice, right? Okay. Okay. So after completion of like theory, right? So now we have to perform these steps, right? We have to create one application. Okay. So I will see and I will copy this and I will give in factory app. Okay. So now here, what I have to do? Simple. First of all, I will create one simple bean class. I don't want this user class. Okay, I will create a class. So I will create high bean. Okay. Now I will create one simple class. Here I will take one static block. What is system out dot println? I will create bean loading. Okay. I take a small statement. After that, I will take constructor public. Okay. Hi bean constructor. I taken in this constructor. I taken bean created. Okay. Now next I will take one user defined method public string say hi. Okay, this is my user defined method and it will return small string value. What is the hi John? No, hi Spring app. Okay, this is my string value. So hi bean containing one static block, one hi bean, and one user defined. Sorry, one static block, one constructor, and one user defined method. Okay, now I will go to XML file. Okay, in the XML file, what I have to create? Simple. So here I will create simple bean class. So what is the class here? Hi bean, and the corresponding ID is hi. So your XML file is ready. So what is the next point? You have to write the test class, right? Go to test class, remove this thing. Okay. First of all, what is the first step you have to write? You have to create the resource object. How you can create the resource object? XML. One second, guys. అమ్మో బాత్ చేస్తుంది. ఆ, నువ్వు బ్యాంక్ డైరెక్ట్గా వెళ్ళిపో. అక్క పేరు చెప్పే చెప్పంగానే ఒక 10 డేస్ బ్యాక్ వచ్చారండి. ఇలా బ్యాంక్ పాస్‌బుక్ ఏటీఎం తీసుకున్నారు. పాస్‌బుక్ ప్రింటర్ లేదని తర్వాత రమ్మన్నారు. సో, వాళ్ళ సిస్టర్‌ని పేరు చెప్తే ఇస్తామని చెప్పారు అని చెప్పి ఇచ్చేస్తారు. స్ట్రెయిట్ లోపలికెళ్ళంగానే రైట్ సైడ్ ఒక కార్నర్‌లో ఒక లేడీ ఉంటది. ఆమె దగ్గరికెళ్ళు. బుక్ ఆమె దగ్గరే ఉంటది. సరే. సరే. హ్మ్. 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 ఓహ్! ఐ యామ్ నాట్ ఇన్ మ్యూటా? ఓకే. So sorry guys. See here, I will create XML bean factory. So factory, someone is joined. Okay. So XML bean factory equal to new XML bean factory. It will expecting resource object, right? So how you can create resource object? New class path resource. I will use class path resource and I will give the corresponding XML form slash Sudha slash CFG slash ping hyphen bean dot XML. Okay, this is your XML. See, this is your XM, how to create the resource object. Finally, how to, next one, you have to create the bean object, right? So bean object, how you can create? Factory dot get bean, same get bean, you have to pass the ID. What is the ID? Hi, right? And control 1, enter. So here you will get hi bean. So you have to typecast. Why? Because bean object, it will return an object class. See here, the corresponding see the corresponding get bean method, it will return object class. So you have to do the user defined typecasting. So now we have to call bean dot say hi method. So it should be string, right? We have to sys out. So this is the implementation. You have to So what is this? Say hi only, right? Why it's showing? Create a method. Say hi. Shift to no no no. Bean dot say hi. Why it's showing? Method say hi is undefined for the type hi bean. How come? Why both are same only, right? Why it's yeah, see. Now I will run this application, just this Java application. See, so go to here, go to the corresponding bean class. First, what is the which block it will executed? Static block. What is the purpose of static block? When your class will be loading time, that for every in your that class, first static block will be executed. So here static block is there, constructor is there, user defined is there. What is the order of execution? First static block will be executed, next constructor will execute, after that user defined method it will execute. See, bean loading, bean created, and high spring app. Right, this is the example of here first xml bean factory, new xml bean factory, new xml bean factory is expecting resource object, right? Here go to here, see xml bean factory, it's expecting resource, right? So here new class path resource, I am passing the xml file, and finally this thing common factory dot get bean, you can pass the id and you will get the user defined method. So in the above application, right, when you activate bean factory in the sense xml bean factory container, then bean factory container will start and it will not create any bean object immediately. Just it will start the application immediately, it will not create any bean objects immediately, and it will perform some actions. What are the what are the actions, right? First of all, it will take the bean configuration file name, means it will take the file name, and it will find the location of the resource file, right? So first of all, it will look into the corresponding xml file where it is available, and parallel, and it will search the corresponding respective bean configuration file in the specified location. Means it will read this package and it will identify the xml file. Okay, so next one, if the if the respective bean configuration file is available, then bean factory container will load that xml file. Container, it will load that xml file in the memory, into the memory. Okay, so after xml file loading, bean factory container will parse that xml file. So it will check all the tags. Parse means, parse means like all the tags you properly mentioned or not. For example, if you give this one, it will write wrong, right? So this syntax checking also it will check. Okay, it will check nothing but it will parse the XML file, means without any tags wrong declaration and all. Once XML file is parsed, it will check all the tags in the XML file providing properly or not, right? So all the attributes are available in the property or not. It will check each and everything. After XML file parsing, bean factory container will read the beans. It will read this bean class, bean tags, and it will store into the resource object. Finally, the corresponding all the tags information available in the resource object. Okay, so once the resource object is completed, you are able to load that content into the resource object. The corresponding bean factory object, it will call get bean method and it will get the high bean class. Okay, so the corresponding bean configuration, respect to bean configuration in the resource object, right? Bean factory, it will identify the corresponding resource object to get the bean configuration information. If any bean configuration is identified in the resource object, for example, the corresponding bean class is identified, then the corresponding bean factory container, it will take respective bean class name and its location, means it will go to the corresponding package and it will read the bean class and it will create the object. Once that object is created, the corresponding bean class, before creating the object, the class will be loaded into the bytecode to the memory with the help of bean factory. Means in Java, every Java class it will loaded into the bytecode in the loaded into the byte memory, right? So that is step will done by the bean factory. Once bean factory, it will create the bean object for that loaded class and it will create the dependent objects also. For example, bean class is expecting some other object. For example, in the bean class I'm using high bean class, I'm using hello bean also. The dependent objects also it will create by the bean factory. Once it will create the bean factory object, sorry, once it will create the object for this bean class, it will store the generated object in the container, in the form of container, the corresponding the form of key value pair. So key must be ID, what you are passing the XML file. Key is the ID and value is the class. Finally, you are able to get the application object, sorry, high bean class object. Okay, this is the whole flow of XM bean factory flow of execution. Finally, you will get the bean object. You can call your customizer method. It will execute your corresponding bean class bean class methods. Clear, guys? Any confusion? So now I will make it as a yes. You don't have any doubts. So now I will jump into application context. So application context is the IOC container. So in the in it is all this one also IOC container, but it is an extension of bean factory. Okay, so there is no any differences between IOC container and bean factory, but it is application context is uh, extension extension of bean factory. So it will provide some advanced features. Okay, IOC application context, it will provide some extra features. What they those are? Sorry, guys. One is internalization. Okay, it is called as I I18N. Okay, now next one, event handling. Okay, so along with the corresponding basic whatever Bean Factory is providing the functionality, right? Same functionality is providing by application context, and it will provide extra features like IIT 9 and event handling. Apart from that, there is no any difference between application context and Bean Factory. Okay, so what is the corresponding implement interface? So application context also interface, but the corresponding implementation package is different. What is the implementation context? So this is the implementation package. Okay, this is interface. Okay, now, so what is the by you if you want to use application context, again here application context is the interface. Finally you have implementation classes, right? What are the implementation classes here? First one is class path XML application context. Okay, next one file system XML application context. Next, web XML application context. Next one. So these three types of application contexts are available. So now we can see, first of all, what is the purpose of ClassPath XML application context? If you want to get all the bean configuration details in from the bean configuration file, which is form of ClassPath environment variable. Okay, you will get the configuration details in the form of class path environment variables. Now what is the purpose of file system XML configuration, sorry, XML application context? If you want to get all the bean configuration details from the configuration file, it will use file system. Okay, file system means hard disk. Okay, so now what is the purpose of web application context? Web XML application context. If you want to use to by using web XML application context to get the configuration details in the form of web application. So you will get the configuration details in the form of existed web application. Okay, so these are all the implementation classes for the application context interface. So remaining these steps and all common: how to create the application context object, how to create the bean object, and you can get the business. Already this example you aware, right? So let's see now small example. Control C, Control V. I am not creating a application context app. Okay, enter. Now I will remove, first of all, this is fine. Okay, and the corresponding bean same thing, and I will change implementation here. Instead of bean factory, I will use the application context. I think you are aware of this thing, how to create the application context object. Context application context equal to new class path application context, and it is expecting com/sudha/cfg/spring_bean.xml file. Okay, this is my syntax. And context dot get bean, we can pass What is the ID? Hi. Alt and enter. Here you have to change hi bean. Finally, you have to do the typecasting. Finally, you can call your custom user defined method bean dot say hi. Okay, see, you can run this example Java application. Same. See, same. First, it will load the static block, constructor, and your user defined method. So the corresponding implementation is same, but the way of using the object class implementation classes is different. But both are same flow. There is no any difference. Okay. Now, so you are here in this topic. I covered what is the application Bean Factory and application context. What is the purpose of Bean Factory? How to do the implementation for both, and I explained some differences between application context and Bean Factory. Okay, guys, you are able to understand this one? Is it clear? Say yes or no. I will jump into next topic. If you are able to, okay. I don't think so. You are getting any confusion. Why? Because these are all very, these things and all very small basics. Going forward, we have to, going forward, you can get more important concepts. Okay. So now, next topic. Finally, I will give you this txt file, guys. Okay, you maybe what topics you are available in spring. If you want to like when you refer this, you are able to get the corresponding course content here. Okay, now next topic is beans. Beans beans in spring framework. So what is bean, right? So bean is a reusable component. In the normal Java class contains properties and the corresponding getters and setters and methods, right? Which you created managed by the IOC container in Spring application. Simple, very simple example. Go to Spring 3. Here, user class is there. In the user class, what is containing? Your property files is there. Sorry, properties is there. Getters and setters is there. And with the corresponding user defined methods also is there. So if you want to create object for this class in the Spring framework, we have to use beans. This is one of the bean. User is a one bean, so we can call it as a this is reusable component. For example, currently I'm using this user. Maybe in the future, in same example, you introduced customer. In the customer, you want to use user pojo class, then you have to use the same in the nothing but it's a reusable component, right? So when you work with any beans in the spring, it will contain some rules to write the bean class, right? What those are, we can see. First of all, bean classes must be pojo class. Okay, they must not extend or implement any predefined library except serializable interface. What is the first point? Bean class is pojo class. Okay, it's not extend or implement any predefined predefined classes. Otherwise we can make it as library except yeah, except serializable interface. Okay. Next point, second point. So we must declare bean class, we must declare as a public, declare, declare class should be public, okay, comma, non non abstract, okay, and non final. Can anyone tell why we are taking non abstract and non final? Hmm? If you want to create any bean class, first of all the class should be pojo class. It's not extend or implement any predefined library except serializable interface. That is first step. What is the second step? The class should be declared as should the class should be public and non-abstract and non-final. For example, why we can use public? So the class should be available throughout the application. If you are not using the public, it won't the class will not be available throughout application, right? If you mention private within the package, sorry, within the class, right? If you mention protected, it should be available within the package. If you want to available the class in the whole application, then you can go for public. So next one is non-abstract. What is the purpose of the class? For example, mention the class should be abstract class. So then in that case, if you make it as if you make it as an abstract class, so it will not create the object, right? It is not possible to create the abstract classes methods, abstract class objects, right? That's what we need to create the object for that bean class. Then you can go for non-abstract. Okay. And what is the purpose of non-final? Is it possible to extend final classes? No, it is not possible to extend child class the corresponding pojo class, right? So if you overcome that problem, you have to use non-final. Why? Because to extend those pojo class in the child classes. Otherwise, it will if you want to use non-final, it will be in class in order to improve your reusability concept. Okay, these are all the corresponding bean class rules and regulations, right? And one more thing, third one. So for example, if you created any bean classes, right, you have to declare all the properties as private. Okay, properties should be private. Okay, and all the behavior, all the methods should be behaviors, means behaviors public, properties should be private, and all behaviors should be public. Okay, now, so what is the purpose of third point? Why we can use all properties should be private and all the methods should be public? It will improve encapsulation mechanism. In the backend, if you provide a third property, you can follow the bean class rule. It will improve encapsulation mechanism. Okay, next, fourth point. So if you want to provide any constructor in the bean class, right? If you want to provide any constructor in the bean class, right, it must be use zero constructor and should be public constructor, because IOC container will the corresponding zero argument constructor to it will instant the bean class, means it will create the object, right? So zero arg constructor and public constructor, okay, to create bean object. Okay, so these are the 4 steps you have to perform to create the bean classes in the Spring. Okay, clear guys? It's straightforward only, right? There is no any confusions. Yeah, actually, these are all the straightforward points. So now, so next one, how to provide bean configuration in Spring application? How many ways to provide bean configurations in Spring application? Right? There are 3 types. One is okay, bean configuration types. First one is XML configuration. Next one is Java based configuration. Third one is annotations configuration. Okay. So first of all, we will see XML based configuration. Guys, please tell me if you are facing any confusions and all. Why I'm asking again and again, these things and all very important. If you are not understand any single point, please let me know. I will explain one more time. Okay. But and moreover, so I will give you the examples. You can practice those examples. First, you can practice the servlets. It's very important. Okay. Now, what is XML configuration? So to provide beans configuration in the configuration file, we have to use XML configuration, right? If you want to use XML configuration to provide the bean configuration in the XML file, we have to use I think these things you already aware, but I will repeat this point. So first of all, in the XML file, we have to use beans tag. Okay, in the beans tag you can mention your all the bean information containing bean tags containing all the bean informations. Okay, now this is my beans tag. Under beans tag I will create my beans like bean id equal to, okay, and the class equal to. In the bean, for example, I have some properties like we have to use property and name. We have to use the property name and the value. You can pass your whatever value you are providing, you can pass. See, this is the syntax of the corresponding. Okay, you can pass the scope also. Okay, so we will talk about later what is the scope and all. So this is the basic syntax for work with XML configuration. I think so you can remember all the examples we are using this type of mechanism only, XML configuration only, right? So here beans tag is nothing but it will root tag in the configuration file, and bean tag is to provide bean configuration details for the particular bean class. Okay, now and one more thing, what is the class attribute? So class attribute is the take the fully qualified name of the bean class, right? Here you are passing com.sudha.hello bean is nothing but fully qualified name. Okay, what is the property tag? So property tag is a able to represent particular property, variable name or variable value. It contains like name equal to something, value equal to something, contains setters. Internally it will execute setter method only. Okay, backend the corresponding property it will execute setter method only. Okay, so now this is the whole syntax and explanation of XML configuration file with the use of by using XML configuration. Okay, is it clear? So now I okay. So simple. I will create this example. Spring Control C, Control V. So this time I will XML config app. Okay. Now I will go to here in the XML configuration. Here, let's see the corresponding hello bean, hello John name is there. Go to the corresponding hello bean. We have taken name and the corresponding username, right? So go to test class. Here I don't want this one directly. I will create the application context object and you can pass the bean and you will get the bean from the XML file and you are calling your method. Then run this example. Okay, this is XML based configuration. See, you are getting hello user John, right? So this is valid. Okay, this syntax is valid. Now I will create here directly in the XML configuration. In the XML configuration, you are giving ID equal to hello. This is valid, but I will change XML configuration. In the ID attribute, I will change. Okay, see, I will change hello bean one. See, here I given hello. See here, if you use like this, it won't accept. Okay, this is invalid bean. If you run this example, what will be the output? See, what is the issue here? Line number 9, you are getting invalid. 3, sax partial exception. You are able to, the corresponding name is not taking properly. Okay, this is the invalid concept. Okay. So this is one invalid scenario. Able to follow, guys? Okay. So this is invalid concept. Now, if you want to pass, this is invalid. Okay, invalid. This is valid. this is valid and this is invalid scenario. So now I will show you one more thing. See here, I given bean1, bean2, bean3. Okay. Now go to the corresponding test.java. Here I am passing bean1. See what is the issue here? See, no bean named one is not defined. No such bean definition error. Right? So this is the one invalid scenario. Okay. This is one invalid scenario. Go to XML file. You can give bean id equal to, instead of give, you can name, you can give. Now I will change, instead of id I am using bean. Now we can go for test class. Just assume, run this example. See what is the happened. What is the issue here? See, it's executed success or not. In the same way, you can, I will give 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now I will call bean1. Say hello bean. Running the application. See, it's accepting or not. Here it will take, name is treating as bean1 is valid, bean2 is valid, and bean3 as well valid. See, instead of 1 I am calling 3. Now see, if you are seeing any difference output, no, not at all. Why? Because in the Spring Bean XML file, if use instead of ID, if you use name, then it will be treated as whatever space is commonly is separated space, right? Bean1, bean2, bean3. It will, it's valid. It will take each bean1, bean2 is the one bean ID like that, right? If you want to use this one also valid, but it will return same object. Okay. So this is the one valid. Okay. Now another one I need to show you. Sorry, I will need to put this comment, right? Okay. Now copy this one. This one also I mentioned in the comment. Okay. I will show you another scenario. So I have bean. So here I will take bean1 only bean1, and ID I will take one more, ID equal to bean2. Then in that case, what will happen? You are able to get the values instead of this one, bean1 and bean2. I don't want bean3. Okay. Now, if you are calling bean1, okay, 1, and again I will call bean2 as well. Let's see what will happen. See, what is the, see, this one also valid only. Why? Because if you want to use same tag, you have used bean name or bean id, you can take different names. It is possible to access your bean classes. There is no issue with at all. This is also valid scenario only. Okay. So if you are using alias names, it is possible to access your bean classes. So in the alias name also fine. How we can use alias names here? This is one. Copy this one and I will put comment. This one also valid, guys. Okay. Now I will take this one. Here bean name equal to 1 and okay here. So I will remove this one. I will remove this one. Okay. In in the same one, in the same one, I will take bean. I don't want this one. I don't want this one. Simply here alias tag. Alias tag I taken bean one and the corresponding I will take as same name for time being. Okay. And again I'm taking another alias tag here. I will take bean 2 and it will take as I will do one thing otherwise control new class hello bean. Okay. Hello bean is already there. So I will give hi bean. Okay. Now again I will take wish bean. Oh sorry. See wish bean. Here I will take public string wish method I taken and it will return string value. What is the welcome bean. Okay. And same thing in the hi bean I will take one method public string hi return string hi bean. Okay. Now in the hello bean simply already existing one is there. Now I will go to test class in the XML file. This should be hi bean. Okay. And here it should be wish bean. Okay. Now see bean 1, bean 1, bean 2. Okay. I taken alias names same, but if implementation classes is different, right? So now what, let's see what will happen in this bean 1. You will get a hello bean here. Again, I will get what is the bean? Hi bean. Okay. Here. Okay. Now here we can call hi. Now again, I will call third alias. What is the here? Wish bean. Here bean 3. Here we can call Control C, Control V. And what is the alias name? The alias name should be bean 3. Okay, go to here. Bean 1, bean 1, bean 2. Okay, now let's see. Let's see. Go to test class. Now run this example. Here bean 3 wish. Run this example, you will maybe you can find some difference. See here, no bean name bean2 is defined, right? Go to here. What is the issue here? No bean name bean2 is defined. Here, go to configuration file. Let's see bean, the bean stack bean name equal to bean1 and the corresponding hello bean. In the alias, again bean1 alias you can call instead of this one bean 2, and you can call here instead of this one bean 3. Now this time let's see what will happen. I'm showing guys different scenarios. See what will happen. Class cast XML cannot be cached to hi bean and hello bean are in unnamed, right? So what is the issue here? Go to the corresponding, go to the XML bean, and I will remove these two clauses. Okay, now again we can take control C, control V, and see here bean 1, bean 2, bean 3, and bean names are changed, and I will call same thing. Okay, now run this example. See here what is the issue here. Null will be null you are getting because I didn't send the actual value. This ignore this null, so you are able to get the value or not. Hello bean 1 context dot get bean. Bean 1 is nothing but this one. Again test dot job bean 2. What is the bean 2 here? This one. Alias name nothing but it will take this one. Okay, and say again bean 3. What is the bean 3 here? Alias name. Alias means the existing class containing alias name is bean 3. This in the runtime alias equal to bean 3 is there, right? Runtime this class will be allocated to the corresponding bean class. That's why you are getting the object. Okay, this is nothing but different examples of XML bean configuration. Okay, now we have one more concept, bean scopes. Very important concept. If you go to any interview, if you go 5 interviews, 5 interviews, you will get the same question. What is the bean scopes in the Spring? Right? So for example, if you develop any Spring based application, J2EE you can use, right? Application, you are defining some scopes like access modifiers. What are the Java access modifiers? Public, protected, default, and private. So each and every access file they have own implementation. In the sense it's having each a reason, right? If you use public, it should be available all the throughout application. If you use protected, the bean class should be available within the package. If you use private, it's in the class it is available, right? Similarly Spring framework having some defined scopes, having default scopes. What are the different types of Spring bean scopes? Is nothing but first one is singleton. Okay, first one is singleton. Next one is prototype. Okay, next one is request. Sorry, someone is asking anything. Now next one is session. Next one is global session. Okay, next one is application, and last one is web socket. Okay, so this is all the Spring bean scopes: singleton, prototype, request, session, global session, application, WebSocket. So what is the purpose of singleton? So singleton is the default scope of Spring application. If you want to work with Spring application, the corresponding scope is for any bean class is singleton. Means if you want to create any object for the Spring bean class, it will create only one object. If you create more, for example, if you create multiple objects in the same object, Okay, for example, hello bean equal to new hello bean. If you are getting same object, if you create one more object hello bean 1 equal to new hello bean, then you are getting object will be same. But if you are creating same different types of objects, the object is same, you will get only single object. That is the concept of single scope. So IOC container, it will create, for example, if you create here in this, I will show you in the practically. Okay, for singleton is the default scope of Spring framework. IOC container, it will create only one object for the particular class, it won't create multiple objects. That is nothing but singleton. What is the prototype? Okay, otherwise directly, I will first finish my example. Singleton app. Okay, now go to this example. First of all, see here, this is fine, hello bean, this is fine, in test class also fine. And I will go to XML file. Okay, here just assume I will create two classes, two objects. Okay, here hello one. So instead of this one, bean 1, okay, and bean 2. So the corresponding scope is equal to singleton. Okay, now you can represent here also. See, now you created two beans for the same class. Let's assume go to here in the test class. Okay, here I am creating, I don't want this line. Okay, simply here I will call context dot get bean. Here I will pass bean 1. Okay, just assume I will pass again bean 2. Okay, and again I will repeat this step. Okay, I will repeat this step. Now let's say I'm running this application. See here, for bean 1, first it will create the bean 1 object. What is the object name? Hello bean 2. This is the hash code 2B6856DD. In the same way, second time I am created. What is the third object? See, again same repeated, right? 2B685D. And one more thing, bean 2 is created. See, for bean 2, you created 5DB451959. See, for the bean 2 second time, also same object. See, for the same object, if you create multiple times, you will get same object. Any confusion, guys? You are clear? Say yes or no, guys. If you are confusing, I will repeat one more time.
Yes, sir.
Sorry? Able to follow, right? Yeah. So this is the example of Spring Bean singleton scope. If you want to create for same object, if how many times you are creating same object, it will return same object reference. It won't change. Here two types of objects is created. Why? Because this is different object. For same object you can create, you can call that object, you will get same reference. But if you both are different objects, then you will get different hash code here. Otherwise better I will put this one, control X, control Z, control Y. Here bean 1 I will put next to bean 1. Now see, For bean1 you created 2 times, and bean2 you can create it 2 times. See, let's see. See here, first 2 is common, second 2 is common. Why? Because this is separate bean and this is separate bean, right? So this is the use of what is the purpose of singleton. Okay, next we can see prototype. So prototype is not a default scope in the Spring framework. In the Spring application, if you provide prototype, right, in the bean configuration, then IOC container, it will create new bean object, and each and every time when you calling get dot bean name. Okay, when you call get bean method, it will create each and every time new object. Let's see. So now I will copy again. Now this time prototype. Okay, let's go to prototype. Let's go to prototype XML file. Here instead of this one, I am giving prototype. Okay, here also I am giving prototype. Okay, see, let's see. Now I will repeat same example. Okay, here I will repeat same example, bean1 and bean2. Okay, now let's see, run this example. Spelling mistake. Okay, now go to test class, right click, run as Java application. See, bean1 are common, but given scope is prototype, then it is creating different hash codes, means object is different. So this is the example of prototype. It will create multiple objects for the same bean class when you calling get bean method. If you call get bean method multiple times in the help of prototype scope, then it will create individual objects. Okay, fine guys. Now next one is request, right? This scope is not useful. This scope is not useful for standalone application, means Spring Core module, right? Currently we are talking about Spring Core content. Sorry, currently we are talking about Spring IOC container, right? Core module, right? So this scope is not required. Why? Because request scope we will use in the web application concept. Okay, when you work with Spring Web module, then we can cover request scope. Okay, so what is the purpose of request scope? If you use request scope in the beans, so it will able to create separate bean object for each and every request object. Okay, that is the purpose of request, but I will give you the context now. Request, session, global session, everything. So when you work with Spring Web module, then we can cover request, session and everything. So this scope, session scope, will be used in the web application concept, guys. It is not required in the Spring Core module, and Spring Web module. By using session scope, it will only use in the Spring Web module, and it is not applicable for standalone applications. Same request scope, but session scope allows to create separate bean object for each and every session object. What is the purpose of request? It will create each and every request object, but session, it will each and every session object. That is the main difference between session and request. What is the global session? So this is not useful in the global standalone application. It will use in the portlet applications. Okay, so if you want to develop portlet application by using Spring framework, you have to use global session scope. If you use global session scope, allows to create separate bean object for each and every portlet session, not session, portlet session. That is the difference between the corresponding request session and global session. Okay, now another one is application. So application scope is not useful for standalone application. It will useful for web application. So if you want to use Spring Web module, then you can use application scope. It will create separate bean object for each and every servlet context object. In the servlets, I already mentioned you, servlet context object is available for only one servlet application, not servlet. If you want to use separate each and every object for a servlet, we have to use servlet config. That is the difference between servlet context and config. Servlet config is used only applicable for each servlet. Servlet context object is useful. It will applicable for only one application, Spring Web application. So you have to use in the form of servlet context you can create. Then you can use application scope. So WebSocket, ignore that one. We are not talking about those things in Spring, not required. Okay, these are all the Spring scopes. Is there any doubt, guys? So now we completed up to bean scopes. Tomorrow class I will start like how to create the user defined scope class. Okay, and next we will talk about like uh, different types like Java based configuration, annotation based configuration. Later on we will talk about, once the beans configuration is done, we will talk about the corresponding how we can use bean lifecycle methods. Okay, we will talk about bean lifecycle methods. After that we can go for the corresponding like Spring Bean validations. Okay, Bean validations and all, we can complete the Spring IO core. Okay, now we can go to the next model in the Spring. Okay, that's all for today, guys. Tomorrow we will continue the class same 10 a.m. Okay, you can join the class tomorrow. Thank you, guys.